Hello, how's it going? In this video, I'm going to sit down and set up Vim. If you're anything like me, you may be feeling a little apprehensive about these new AI features that VS Code has been adding in. Personally, I figured I'm just going to bite the bullet, do Vim, and that's it. If Vim adds AI, I'll switch to Notepad. What? You gotta be kidding me. Okay, so first up, I'm just going to go ahead and open up my terminal. Currently, I'm in my home directory. If I just list storage all, I can see I've got a bunch of things, including the video that I'm currently recording. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new file. I'm going to make it in Vim. By the way, if you don't have Vim, I don't know how far back I should go with this whole guide, but just FYI, if you don't have Vim, you should really have it. I'm running Fedora. My instruction is sudo dnf install Vim, which of course it'll say, hey, we've got it already. If you're using something else, it could be, apt-get install Vim, pacman install Vim, I don't know, whatever your package is. But having recreated the universe from scratch, I'm going to go ahead and with Vim, edit my Vim RC file. By the way, Vim RC, the RC stands for run commands or run control. And this is a file which is loaded up when Vim is opened. Now, I did not have one. I backed it up. So it's created an empty one for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a little bit of base configuration. So I'll hit I to go into insert mode and going to switch on language agnostic syntax highlighting. And then I'm going to type the following. File type plugin indent on. Now this is actually nested. This is actually a few things. It's actually three things. We can read it as file type on, file type plugin on, and file type indent on. So file type on will enable file type events. So when I have a file and I open it, Vim will look at the type of file that I opened and publish a file type event. File type plugin will enable certain plugins to be switched on or switched off according to which file I just opened. And then file type indentation will load file type specific indentation settings. Again, based on those file type events. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my indentation. Okay, so these are all options related to indentation. By the way, you may have noticed as I was typing this, if one of these is a recognized keyword, it will come up in a different color. I don't know what your specific color is, but that's just something to bear in mind. So these first three are basically setting the tab width to 4 under various, tab expansion, tab opening settings. This one here, expand tab, what this does is when I hit tab, Vim intercepts that event and replaces it with the appropriate number of spaces. And by the way, one thing we can do is I'll just hit escape to go into normal mode, and then right down the bottom I'll go : help expand tab, and this will open up the manual page so I can read through and double check, okay, yep, this is what this command is doing. Okay, when we're done reading this, we can use mouse wheel, by the way, to scroll around. We can just go : Q to quit out of that man page. And there we have it. That's what expand tab does. Then we have auto indent. So what auto indentation does is when I've got a line which has been indented by a certain amount, and I hit enter, I hit CR, carriage return, to go to a new line, the new line will inherit the level of indentation that the line above it had. And then what smart indentation does is it basically copies over the rules for C family languages for indentation. So things like if I open up a set of braces, it will automatically indent on the line inside those braces. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, if I go set number, that will give the absolute line number. So actually, I can go WQ for write and quit, and then open this up again, and I can see, yeah, I've got my absolute line numbers. And then if I go relative number, and again, whoops, listen, I'm still starting out with this Vim stuff, and open this up again, I've got the absolute line number on my cursor, and then around that I've got the relative line number. So this is really good for Vim commands. So for instance, J will go down, but if I go like 2J, that will go down 2 lines. 3K will go up 3 lines. So seeing relative line numbers is really useful when I want to jump around the file really quickly. For the next bit, I'm going to be dealing with Vim plugins. And there's I guess it's a plugin to install the plugins. There's something called Vim Plug, which is it's a useful plugin manager. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and open up a browser, and I'm just going to type in Vim Plug, and it's this Git repo here, this June Gun Vim Plug. Just go down, and we've got this installation instructions. So for me, I'm using Vim, I'm using Unix, so I'm going to copy over this curl command and run it, and I should now have Vim Plug. Now, I'm going to use Vim Plug to install COC. The makers of COC, I guess, have a sort of anti-capitalist agenda because they've made a name that if I say it out loud, I'll get demonetized. So this is called COC NVim, but it does work on Vim. And this is the call to install it. I need every plug install section needs to be bracketed by this plug begin and plug end section. So I'm going to plug begin, and then inside I'm going to do my plugins. So I'm just going to call this first version here. So this plug neoclide Vim, just like that. And that should be fine. So I'm going to write and quit, go back in, and then I'm going to call a command. So I'll go colon, and this command is plug install. And what this does is it looks at everything inside this little sandwich section here and tests it and says, hey, have you been installed? Yes, you have. No, you haven't. Okay, we'll go ahead and install you. So once that's done, I can just go :Q to quit, and then I'm going to actually install COC. So the situation is that this has installed the COC plugin, but it has not installed the underlying library. Now, the thing with COC is, what does it say? It's a Node.js thing, so I'm going to need to install Node.js and build it. So the way I'll do this on Fedora is I'll go sudo dnf install Node.js, and then I'll go ahead and install it. And then I'm also going to install something called yarn, and yarn is a Node package which builds and installs things. So I'll just go ahead and sudo npm install yarn. Okay, so it's sort of complaining about something. I'll leave that for now. It says it did it. So I'll go to, again, list storage and all to get the hidden ones. We've got this Vim directory in here. So I'll just go change directory to Vim, and then plugged is where my plugins have gone. So I'll change directory into there. And then the only plugin I've got at the moment is coc.mvim. So I'll change directory into there. And I've got all this stuff. I'm just going to go yarn install. Then I'm going to change back to my home, and I'm going to just open up Vim again. So I'll open up my Vim RC, and I'll just put in a command, and the command I'm going to put in is coc install. Here I can put all of the language servers that I want to install. This isn't actually going to install the language servers, it's going to install binders to those servers. So for my case, I'm going to go coc clangd and coc ALS, that's the Ada language server. By the way, anyone who's getting miffed that I'm calling it clangd, okay, it's either clangd or clangd. You can't have it both ways. So I hit enter and then it goes through and it installs the bindings for both of those servers. That's pretty cool. I can quit out of that. And now I'm going to install the servers. So for clangd, there's an easy way to do it. I just quit out of that and make a CPP file. So hello CPP. And I'll just give this a second. Okay. So in my case, I had this before and then I forgot to uninstall it before making this video. So if you have not got this and you've got a complaint, what we can do is we can just write down the command, that's :coc command, and then it's clangd dot install, just like that. And this will look in and say, okay, yeah, we've got clangd. Okay, so now I'm just going to test things out. So let's go include. So you can see that everything's working, but it's a little bit busted. The colors are all over the place. So I'm going to need to fix that. So I'll just go and quit out of that, then go back to my vimrc file, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in a new plugin. So I'll go plug, and this is the Sol 256 plugin. Now, just a side note, we're going to have to, I'm going to go ahead and fix this. So if I start typing, you'll see that it auto-completes, and I can tab through, but that doesn't actually do anything. So that's a little bit weird. So I'll get to that. Actually, let's do that now. So I'll just open up a new tab, and we'll go coc tab autocomplete, and there's this Reddit thread here which links to a fix. Yep, this is the code snippet that we use to use tab for custom completion. So I'll just open up a new section and paste that in. Go ahead, write and quit. Open up again, and it's saying, hey, we don't have that color theme. That's totally fine. We'll just go plug install, and that should install it. Oh my goodness. It's not color theme, it's color scheme. Listen, guys, I'm not perfect. Okay, cool. So this is really cool. And it actually should work. So if we just go, if we look there, the auto completion is looking really good. And we can now tab through and it auto completes. So we tab a few times to get onto the suggestion that we want, and then you can hit space or something and keep typing, and it's auto-completed for you. But as a problem is I've got this backdrop, and I would really like to have this backdrop coming through. Like, I'd like a transparent background. So the way I'm going to fix this is I'm just going to go in and set these options to none, the GUI background and the CTerm background. Go ahead and test that. Awesome. Cool. So now I've got my auto completion coming up and it's visible, and I've also got my transparent background. So there's just one more thing that I'm going to do for the clangd stuff, and it's just a plugin that I'm going to bring in for auto pairing. So when I open up brackets and stuff, I want those brackets to have pairs. So I'll just go ahead and I'll plug this, and this is Jiang Miao auto pairs. Hope I spelled that right. Let's go ahead, give that a shot. Go plug install, and now we've got pairs. So I can put some brackets and things automatically get paired up, which is really cool. We've got clangd, that's good, but I also want to look at Ada stuff. So let me just go in, make another window here where I'll do some Ada stuff. So I'll go into my dev. This is just some source code that I was working on. And let's say, open up an Ada source file. Now when I open up this ADA source file, I've got this message down the bottom saying, hey, the ALS ADA language server failed to start. So that's not great. But what's even not greater is the fact that the ADA language server doesn't really have pre-built binaries in the traditional sense. So you can either recompile it from source, which relies on all these packages, which I looked online, it's like some competition. Have you ever got the ALS server to compile? As far as I can see, no one's done it. It's just impossible. But there's a shortcut, and that is to download the Visual Studio Code extension. But we've got a problem. If I go search for ADA language server, and I go in here, and we've got the VS Visual Studio Marketplace, this is listing the extensions. But the Visual Studio Marketplace has recently had an upgrade, which has improved it by removing the ability to download things manually. But luckily it's on the OpenVSX registry, Open Visual Studio Extensions. And this one has not been upgraded, so we have the option to download the extension. We go ahead, download it for Linux in my case. So one downside of being in Australia is Australian internet. So let's downloaded this VSX file, which is really an archive. We can just extract that. And then inside here, I want to find the binary. So this can be a little bit overwhelming, but if I go down to x64, Linux, that's the binary right there. So I'm just going to grab that binary, and I just need to put it somewhere on my path. So I could make my own folder and then set up my path so it points to that folder as well. But I've got this Elir folder, which is already in my path. So if I just drop it in there, that seems like a pretty natural place to put it. So I'm going to close that down, go back, and then I'm going to try to open this up again. And it seems to work, question mark. Okay, I'm going to insert this in the middle. I got the ADA language server to work. Here's how we get it to work. So the problem is I was opening up a file just individually. And when we open up the file individually, ADA has no idea which project we're running. It really doesn't like it. But here you can see I'm in the root folder for the directory. So what I'll do is I'll just open Vim, and with Vim I'll open the current directory. And what this does is it loads in the whole project. So then when I go down to source and open something up, I can... Yeah, look, how cool is that? Okay, cool. So we have the... Whoops. We have the auto completion, and we've got everything. We've got all the packages, and we can go down and we can see on the side, we've got some sort of doc string happening. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So I'll put this in there. We got it working. Hooray. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at making Vim act a little bit more like an editor that we might be used to. So what I'm going to... Ooh, there we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another plugin called NerdTree. This is basically a file tree extension. So I'll go plug... Yeah, plug preser vim NerdTree. And from the repo, there's a suggestion here. So I'll just quit out of there, go back in and install. And then if I want to bring up that file tree on the side, I can just hit this command, NerdTree toggle, and that will bring it up, that'll close it down. But it would be much better to map this to another key combo. So I'll just quit out of everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remap remap a key command. Now this is often sort of copy pasted around, but I thought it would be fun to sort of go in and inspect. So what I'll do is I'll just go back and I'll go help, and the command I'm after is I know remap. So the way this works is we have sort of the remap operation on the left, right on the left. Then we have the thing, we'll call it LHS, and thing RHS. And what this does is it takes the RHS command and replaces it, remaps it to the LHS command, and that's what the no is doing. There's another one, remap, which does not remove the RHS command. It sort of keeps them both in there, but I don't want that. So what I'm going to do, so it's going to go back. So I'm going to go I know remap. Then the command that I want to use is Control B. And the command that I want it to replace is that operation of going escape to go into normal mode, and then typing NerdTree toggle, and then typing enter, so CR for carriage return. Now this I on the I know remap is saying we'll do a no remap in insert mode. So the way we can inspect this is we can bring up, okay, whoops, help map overview. There we go, help map overview. So we have this explanation of the different commands, the different modes that they work in. We actually have these visual explanations as well. So this is the I know remap that I'm using here, and that is running in insert mode. So I for insert, and then I map works, I remap works, I know remap works as well. And then there's another one which is N for normal mode, and this just works in normal mode. There's a bunch of other ones, operator pending, visual mode, selection mode, and so on. So you can look through that in your own time, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this over, and I'm going to map the same command in normal mode as well. So I'll just go ahead, but yeah, I can hit Control B, that opens up my NerdTree, hit Control B again, that toggles it off. And then there's one more thing. So if I'm here in Control B, actually, I'll get back to that. Here's a question, how do I navigate between splits? So the way this normally works is there's some combination like Control W, oh that works, okay, Control W and then HK, JL, all that sort of stuff. So H is left, L is right, but this is a little bit annoying because you've got to move your fingers around quite a bit. And also, the thing I was going to talk about is if I quit, this will quit the current panel, which is the code file, but then I've just got this file tree hanging around and I need to quit twice. So it would be really good if I could automatically quit NerdTree if it was the only thing open. And it turns out we can totally do that. So just open up Firefox, and then what was it? Quit, yeah, NerdTree quit if only. And it turns out there is a command for that. So I just searched, quit NerdTree if it's the only thing open. There's this auto command. Let's copy that over. And it's just, you do it once sort of thing. So I'll just write that, and then I'll have a go again. So I'll go into that file, open up NerdTree, quit, and now Vim quits completely. So the other thing I want to work on is moving around between panels and also resizing panels. So I'll do those both in one go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to map, we'll go Control J. I'm going to map that to the combination of Control W, because remember that was what I was using, Control W and J to move in the J direction, and then I'm just going to do the same thing again. So this is YYP to paste. So YY to yank, and then P to paste what's copied on the buffer. Okay, cool. So I've just mapped those over. So I'm now using Control to navigate around. So I can just go open this up again, open something up, and then Control B to bring up NerdTree, and then I can just hit Control and navigate around. And I can also open up other files. So I can just go down to my make file and then hit I to open that in a split, and then I can start using whoops, using my HJKL keys to navigate around those splits. But you see that the make file is not very big, whereas the source file is considerably bigger. So it would be great if there was an easy way for me to resize these panels so they can all fit together. Now the way we can do this, I'll just go ahead and quit out of everything. The way I can do this is, for me, for my purposes, I reckon Alt would be a really good combo for this. I'm used to using H, J, K, and L to move the cursor around, Control to shift between splits, Alt and that to resize the splits. But it turns out that in some computers, they just have trouble detecting the Alt key. So again, I'll just open up a browser, and what was it? It was Vim Alt key. Here we go, Alt key shortcuts not working. So there's a bit of code that we can copy paste, and what this does is it essentially sort of redetects the Alt key and binds it to the A, just the same way that the Control key is bound to C. So we can go back, sort of paste that in, and then I'm going to, so V for visual line mode, select all of that text, Y to yank it, and then P to paste it. So the command I'm going to map this to is resize, and then just with these modifiers, resize +1, and then enter to close that. And then vertical resize. Just like that. So go ahead and save that and try again now. So I can go ahead and open up a bunch of these. And again, like I was saying, I can use Control to move around, and I can use Alt to resize those panels, and I can resize them vertically as well, horizontally as well. Cool. So there you have it. Oh yeah, and just for fun, can also, let's say for instance, I want to do some terminal commands on the side. I can just resize all of this. Get it all riced up, you know. And yeah, cool. So I think that'll be it for now. Hope you had fun. I understand it's quite a long one, but set things up, you know. All the best, and I will see you again soon. Bye.